Hey, fourth grade, welcome back. Today, we are going to be looking at the DCPS packet, week 1, day 4. So today we'll be planning our project. You're going to need the text, Daughters of Liberty, and then you're also going to need the day 4 page that lists the directions along with your options, okay? So go ahead and grab those materials and we'll get started. All right. So like I said, we are on DCPS packet week 1, day 4, getting ready to plan our projects. So if you go to day 4 of this packet, you will see that the objective for this particular activity is that you're going to use the details gathered in your notes to begin planning your project. So if you remember earlier in the week, you guys read the text, you annotated, you had those 4 questions that you came up with, you wrote down the answers, you got your notes. So those are the things you're going to need for your project. So the example I'm going to be going over is the third option, which is the diary entry. So on your page, if you look, it's that third option over here in the third box. So this prompt says, write a diary entry from the point of view of one of the Daughters of Liberty, explaining how she supported the cause for freedom. This is the example that has been provided. So of course, the first thing we need to do is tap it out. Let's tap out this prompt. So of course, the T in tap stands for the topic. What exactly are they asking us to do? So they are asking us to write a diary entry from the point of view of one of the Daughters of Liberty, explaining how she supported the cause for freedom. So I looked at this prompt and I summarized it for my topic, and I came up with, let's see, there we go. Here is my topic. I highlighted it, and I said, explain how Daughters of Liberty supported cause for freedom from one woman's point of view. So you have to take on the role of one of the Daughters of Liberty and then explain how this particular group supported the cause for freedom, or how the woman that you choose, how she supported the cause for freedom. My audience for this, you have to think, when someone is reading this letter, do they have to know a whole lot about the Daughters of Liberty? Or can anyone read and understand this letter? And it would be anyone. Non-experts will be able to read this letter and understand it. And lastly, the purpose of this letter is to inform and explain. What are we explaining? Yes, we're explaining how one specific Daughter of Liberty supported the cause for freedom. And then, of course, you have to choose. I have chosen to take on the role of Deborah Manning. She was one of the Daughters of Liberty in Act 4 of the play. And so, since I am choosing Deborah Manning from Act 4, then I will only need to gather information from Act 4 of the play. So make sure you pause here, go back through the text, and see which Daughter of Liberty you would like to take on and write from their point of view. All right, so for our planning, we will need to use a single paragraph outline. As you see, there's also a couple of things that have been added to this outline, and that is the greeting of the letter. Because this is a diary entry, so we have to start it out with a greeting, like a letter. So we are going to add to the top of our outline, Dear Diary. So make sure you add that to your outline. Now, I know when I'm looking at the planning page that DCPS has provided, they're asking you to write your thesis or your claim statement. So just think of this as your topic sentence, okay? So speaking of topic sentence, also concluding sentence, these are our strategies. Here are the 3 strategies that we're going to be choosing from today, just to review. Remember, you can start off by asking a question. You can start with a subordinating conjunction, and you can also start with a strong statement, something that has facts, but also grabs the reader's attention, okay? So I have chosen to start with a strong statement. Since this is a diary entry and I'm taking on the point of view or the perspective of one of the characters, there's going to be a lot of emotion in this, right? So I'm deciding to start with this strong statement to show that emotion. All right, so I'm going to start my letter off with Dear Diary. Next, my topic sentence. So if you read this Act 4 and you understand in Act 4, the Daughters of Liberty have finally reached a point where they've had enough and they have decided to really take action against people that are trying to prevent them from having freedom. So I've decided that if I were Deborah Manning, this might be how I start off my letter, how I'm expressing how I'm feeling. So I said, Dear Diary, we have finally had enough. The Daughters of Liberty and myself decided to take a stand to show our support for freedom from Great Britain. This is my topic sentence, simply because it states how I'm feeling and what my diary entry or my letter is going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about how we took a stand to show our support for freedom. So I'm looking back in the text in Act 4, and I have to look at all of the details, all of the things that show what Deborah and the Daughters of Liberty did to take a stand to show their support for freedom. And so the first thing that these ladies did in Act 4 was they discovered that merchants were overcharging. So when I write this down on my outline, I'm simply going to write merchants equal overcharging. There were merchants in the colonies that were overcharging people for their goods. So that's the first thing that happened. Deborah and the other Daughters of Liberty realized that merchants were overcharging. The second thing that happened in Act 4 for Deborah and the rest of the Daughters of Liberty, they confronted Thomas Boylston. And so I just put confronted and then I abbreviated his first name, T and then Boylston. The third thing that happened when you go back and read Act 4 is that they demanded Mr. Boylston's key from him because he had locked up the warehouse and he was trying to keep all of the coffee there. So they demanded his key, and when he refused, they threw him in a cart. And so I wanted to just write that in the shortest way that I could, and I wrote demanded key / because it's new information, T. Boylston in cart. All right, that's what happened. They demanded the key and put him in the cart. The last thing that Deborah and the Daughters of Liberty did in Act 4 was that they finally got the key from Mr. Boylston and they unlocked the warehouse. Okay? So these are all of the things that Deborah is going to go into greater detail about in her diary entry. So these are the things that I want to make sure that I expand on when I get to my first draft of my letter. And so for my concluding sentence, I'm also going to use the strong statement. And I'm going to say, it felt so great to speak up for ourselves and stand up for what we believe in. I am very proud to be a daughter of liberty. So here we have wrapped up our letter. Once again, we're stating how we feel, and we're wrapping up what this entire letter was about. This letter was about how Deborah and the other daughters of liberty spoke up for themselves and they stood up for what they believed in. Okay? So here's our plan for our diary entry. So tomorrow we're going to take the same outline for our letter, and then we're going to expand those details for our first draft. All right. All right, so that's it for today, guys. Come back tomorrow and we'll go ahead and start on our first draft. See you guys later.